Good day, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. Welcome to another session of EU Business Talks. Once again, it's good to see so many familiar faces online. And let me go straight forward to welcome our guest of honor of today, Mr. Taavi Rõivas, chairman at Auve-Tech, company based in Tallinn, Estonia. Taavi, good day to you. Most welcome.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me.
With pleasure. How are you doing?
Great. Still a lot of people around us in a vacation, but I have been on work mode whole summer because in our industry it's very, very busy days.
Okay, so you are working in fifth gear then?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Taavi, you are based in Tallinn, Estonia. I want to ask you, what kind of weather do you have? You know, they are telling me that I'm asking this question too much, but I will ask you about what is the general shape of your country these days? How is your economy doing? Maybe also if you can comment, how are you doing COVID-wise? What are your short-term, mid-term expectations in this regards?
Well, when usually, first of all about weather, because Estonians love the weather questions only this year, because when usually our summers are much colder than in Slovenia, this summer we had excellent weather and it has been absolutely marvelous until now. So I even if you didn't ask me the weather question, I still want to answer it and say that also in Estonia the weather can be nice. But in terms of COVID and economic situation, well, currently we again have some time to breathe. The last wave of COVID, so to say, British version of COVID was pretty harsh, I would say. We went quite close to having the hospitals in the red even though that passed quite quickly. And throughout the summer, the main focus has been vaccination. I would personally like to see much faster vaccination. I think there are too many bureaucratic obstacles on the way. But what I see very, very well is that despite the numbers of infected going up slowly but steadily, unfortunately, again, the situation health-wise is actually much better because around half of the population is vaccinated, and this means that the chance that people get to hospital or are hospitalized with COVID is much lower. So even if the vaccination doesn't completely cancel the cases, it does help a lot in terms of the condition of people. And economy-wise, well, it's very different regarding which sector you are looking at. If you are looking at tourism, especially Tallinn, the capital, tourism has hurt a lot. Now, again, this summer has been extra beautiful. A lot of tourists, especially from nearby countries, but also our own domestic tourists go a lot to places they have not been before in Estonia. So tourism still, and restaurants, of course, all the HoReCa sector and entertainment, they took a very, very serious hit. But if we look at construction, real estate, they are absolutely booming. And coming closer to tech sector, what I am involved with, tech sector also is, I would say, more booming than suffering. And that's mainly because, of course, there is a lot of things that can be done also without meeting. And there is a lot of software companies that have been super successful despite COVID. The biggest example, of course, is Wise, formerly TransferWise, the first decacorn or company worth more than $10 billion was recently the biggest listing, biggest direct listing in London Stock Exchange. So this is the biggest news. And also there have been a couple of unicorns doing very, very good results during COVID. So,
okay. So below the line, Taavi, you are in optimistic mode. The backbone industries, construction, real estate, IT are booming, as you say. So you remain optimistic for the autumn and winter time, and most probably the schools will start normally as well, I guess.
I do hope so, but I want to see the vaccination numbers going up faster than they did during summer, as our government since today has introduced measurements that say that if you are vaccinated, it is easier for you to go to restaurants, cafeterias, and so forth. I hope that this will increase the numbers of people who actually get this vaccination, and then we can remain fairly open throughout the winter season. Let's
hope so. Okay. Thank you very much for this part. Dear friends, let me read out the things that we have written in our invite for today's session. Mr. Taavi Rõivas, Chairman Auve-Tech from Tallinn, Estonia, company specialized in development and manufacturing of autonomous transport systems. Company is behind world's most compact and flexible level 4 autonomous shuttle that suits into existing infrastructure and operates on public roads already today. Impressive. And now even more impressive. Before entering business, Taavi was the Prime Minister of Estonia, 2014-2016. And before that, Minister of Social Affairs, 2012 to 2014. So my obvious question, Taavi, what happened that you changed your way into the business? Can I ask you that at first?
Of course. As I was Prime Minister in very early age, I was the youngest Prime Minister at this time, from 2014 to 2016 in the whole European Union. And I was two-time ex-Prime Minister by the age of 37. So for me personally, it was either to continue in politics, knowing that the most important peak of my career is behind me, or take a leap to somewhere where I don't feel as comfortable, to be honest, but where all the challenges are still ahead, and where I need to, first of all, prove to myself that I can handle great challenges, and also, of course, all others. And what better than a rapidly growing tech company that is planning really to change one aspect of our lives, and the challenges that we have seen during the last half year approximately that I have been part of Auve-Tech have been tremendous, and despite COVID, there is a lot of interest for our shuttles as both politically and also in let's say real world or everyday life. We want to see solutions that are more environmental and more comfortable for your last mile trip.
Definitely, and you know, all the things that you're mentioning is basically the mainstream of EU policies. Also, again, short-term, mid-term. But for somebody who is not so close to your particular business, may I ask, do you think within 10, 15, 20 years time, at least in the cities, in the urban area, we will be already driving with autonomous transport via systems?
Well, behind me, our shuttles are in Tartu. That picture was taken a month ago, and they were driving there on public roads. Currently, they are also driving in Tallinn. They are driving in Helsinki and other cities in Europe, in Rotterdam. So in a way, yes, it is already possible. It is already a reality. But I assume that your question was more like whether they will be all over the place and whether they will be fully mainstream. Well, they are my answer will surprise you, because I will say that it depends very much on the speed. Those areas where there will be low speed solutions, be it last mile, be it the pre-mapped area, be it some particular district, suburban or urban, doesn't even matter. There we will definitely see many more, and this will grow very fast. Not 10 or 15, but I think already in 5 years you will see in most European countries many of those last mile shuttles. Just like recently we had the boom of electric scooters, but these offer basically the same solution, but they do it also in bad weather. They do it also when you have kids, for older people, when you have luggage or some goods to carry. But in principle, they are offering you the same service as scooters or bike rental, for that matter. And the idea is to reduce the need to take a trip with your personal car. And with the situation of parking very difficult in many European cities, with the situation of understanding that climate change is reality, there is, as you mentioned, very strong demand or need for this kind of solution. But if we talk about faster speeds, then also technology will be ready much sooner than 10 or 15 years. But I'm a little bit pessimistic whether the regulations will be, and I do understand why they probably won't be, because it takes time before policymakers, regulators, and also general public become so comfortable with autonomous driving that we trust ourselves to drive 100 kilometers an hour without in a car that doesn't even have visible brakes or wheel. So this takes, in my opinion, much more time. But in slow, let's say up to 30 kilometers an hour in areas that can be pre-mapped, this can be reality already today, and hopefully will be much more already in the close years.
I can imagine many downtowns around Europe where this would be definitely a value added already today, you know. But yeah, going, Taavi, to your company in particular. So basically you are quite a young company, development manufacturing one. Tell us, I mean, who are your clients at the end of the day? We are all doing this, you know, to make some, let me put it as it is, money, profit out of it, but also to make some good for the mankind in your particular case. So who are your clients? Who are you addressing?
Yes, you're correct to say that we are a very young company. We are not the biggest in the world or biggest in Europe in this sector. There are companies that have, like we have currently 15 cars made. There are companies that have close to 200, but we are the most like rapidly growing or fastest growing in this sector currently. And now regarding clients, the market is still in this phase that currently it is mostly either cities, regions, or also sometimes large bus companies or public transport companies who see that our buses work very well as feeders for the public transport. So especially in bad weather, it is very typical that the bus will take you to the corner of your, let's say, business district or your village or whatever. But then the last couple of hundred of meters, you need to walk. And in bad weather, the walking is not very nice. Also, if you have small kids, it's not very nice. Also, if you have goods to carry, it's not very nice. And the bus companies and local municipalities are testing these kind of autonomous solutions to solve those problems. And the bigger picture is always that we need to reduce the need to use of personal cars for each drive. So if we can successfully reduce that, then it will be much easier to reduce the whole CO2 emission. And in a big picture, make the world a better place to live.
Okay, but can I ask also who are the other players in this process? You know, surely you are part of certain funding schemes because you are addressing today the questions of tomorrow. Are you taking any steps within certain EU projects or, I don't know, international fundings to ease your way till the end users and buyers?
We are not very typical company because our founder, whose background is car industry, both sales of cars, but also production of special vehicles, has backed us financially significantly until now. We have received some grants from European Union. One of them was for operating in 3 different countries, and one of them was to develop a small, even smaller passenger vehicle together in a large consortium together with VTT and other bigger players. But these are still, I would say, minor things in comparison to what our founder has invested to make this a reality. I know this is not a very typical situation, but that's just our story, and that's the way it is. And we believe that we can bootstrap ourselves to being the best car in the market. But of course, when we are in the position of scaling and being present in many countries, then we are quite probably going to look for external financing as well. But that day is still not here.
Okay, just patient, step by step. All of your cars are branded under your brand, correct?
Exactly. We have so far produced 15 cars. Most of them are running on battery power, just like normal electric cars. But just exactly 1 month ago, we released together with University of Tartu the very first ever, globally first ever autonomous vehicle that runs on hydrogen. University of Tartu built us the hydrogen element. Of course, this hydrogen element can also be, in principle, bought from the market, but our idea was that we want to give a chance for Estonian scientists to actually prove that they can make it especially suitable for transportation, this hydrogen element. And this car took the first ride on 5th of August, and I'm very proud to say that the president of Estonia was the one who took the first ride. So there is a lot of trust based on our company. The president was confident that it's safe and works fine to sit and drive in a car where there is no driver, no wheel, and that runs on hydrogen, and that is made in Estonia. So that's a great trust based in us, and I'm proud that we managed to justify that trust.
Congratulations. This is indeed very important and very good for PR and marketing in the future as well. So, dear friends, it's 21 minutes past the hour. Feel free to post any questions you might have for Taavi regarding his business, regarding his country, economy in particular. Before I start, Taavi, let me just say that majority of the friends here with us are for Europe, within the European Union, but we have some friends outside as well. How do you see, I don't know, other continents in future phases? Will you address them as well? Do you have any limits on that?
Of course, we don't have any set limits. Realistically, we need to know that all the countries, even within the European Union, where it's mostly the same regulation still, or pan-European regulation, but even within European Union, we have different regulations because autonomous driving is not a very mature field, but especially when you go to different regions, you need to be prepared that there is a lot of paperwork, a lot of proving that your car is safe, and it takes time for us. It is expensive, but it is still, I think, justified because autonomous driving is a very, let's say, tender sector. If there is not enough clear regulations, there will be also players in the market who are not safe. And if something serious happens with those players who are not safe or who are not playing safe, then that will hurt all of us. So I think that we'd rather have it bureaucratic and somewhat slower than having no rules at all. So that's my take on it. And it's good to see that some countries even have like cross-country strategy to introduce autonomous driving very widely. For example, Singapore has a very comprehensive strategy because, partly because I think they have 6 million people living on a small island, and finding a parking place or creating enough parking places for all Singapore people, it's just not possible. The parking places will probably take more room than the island has. So it is only wise to organize a more innovative transport for them. And Singapore has really understood it, in my opinion. But yes, there will be different regions, even though currently our cars are driving only in Europe. So we are just some steps before taking the leap to outside Europe.
It's a starting phase. Okay, Taavi, let me read out what I see here in the chat box. Let's be short and sweet on each question and reply. First of all, I see Philo. Philo, hi again. Philo is with us from Malta. Can I know what particular infrastructure needs to be set up in the roads before these cars can go on the roads? Can you reply on that, Taavi?
That's a very good question, because the first autonomous cars needed special infrastructure, but our car doesn't need anything from the infrastructure. Just normal roads. They don't need to be even paved with asphalt. They can be also full of snow, which doesn't happen in Malta probably, but still it can be snow, it can be gravel, or it can be normal asphalt. That doesn't matter. What our car needs to do is to drive, or with our car or another car that has this special equipment on it, it has to drive through and pre-map the area. That is something that we always do before. And if that is done, the conditions can be basically whatever. Our car also drives in bad weather, which is very, very unique. It is very difficult to drive in bad weather autonomously. And the last point I want to make, there are some things, for example, LiDARs mounted on street lamps that can make our cars' lives easier. For example, on junctions, if you can position some of the LiDARs on the infrastructure, and then the car can drive through in full speed without even braking, because it can see technically around the corner, because the one part of the eyes is on the street post. But having said that, most of the use cases that we have had hasn't had any special infrastructure.
Okay. Dejan is with us from Slovenia. Have you been involved in any PP projects with your company, or are you planning to be involved, or if this is your business model as such?
Well, yes and no. I mean, all of our projects are somewhat linked with public sector, and also many of them have a private sector involvement. I mean, PPP classically is a little bit different than our model, but in principle, having projects where both public and private sector are involved yes, we have had. One of good examples is the biggest business district in the Baltics, which is called Ülemiste, just next to Tallinn Airport. For those of you who have visited Estonia, just next to Tallinn Airport, we have a business district where our cars organized throughout last summer, organized the transport from airport, which is government owned, to tram station, which is municipal, and throughout the privately built business district. So the idea was to operate in this way that you can come without your own car or taxi, and you can go exactly where you want to go to your doorstep. So in a way that was PPP, but I know that that's not the classic PPP, and I'm not sure what the question was focusing on, but I hope I answered it more or less.
I think you did, because I do know Dan. I'm sure he will do his own follow-up with you on particularities of
I would love that.
Your business, and you will take it from there. Katsuei's son, good evening to you in particular. Katsuei is with us from Tokyo. Well, as far as I understand this question, Katsuei, you are asking about control center watch, who is taking care of the cars, and how many one can take control at a time. Is it correct, Taavi?
Yes, that's a very, very important question, and shows that the person posting the question clearly knows the industry. Currently, level 4 autonomous means that there has to be a person who can take over when the car doesn't know what to do or is not programmed what to do. For example, in our cases, it only happens or mostly happens when there is somebody parking illegally or blocking the way illegally in the area where he shouldn't be. Then the car asks the person who is in charge. Now, whereas most of the autonomous bus developers currently use the safety operator driving within the bus, we have moved it or him or her also outside the bus, so that like the question was posted, there is a control center that is overlooking several cars, and one person can have a look at up to 10 cars. We haven't, to be honest, we haven't tested with 10 cars yet, but our calculations and estimations see that we can raise it up to 10 cars, so that one person in the center can be in Estonia, 5 of the cars are driving in Slovenia, and 5 of the cars are driving in Tokyo, for example, and it can be like supervised safely, but it can be also like 5 cars depending on the roads and traffic situation. But 10 is the maximum that we feel is possible. Okay, since we started 2 minutes past the hour, let's take 2 minutes more, and I will read out, Taavi, the next question from Jerne. Jerne is coming from bus producers, by the way, just so you know. So what is the autonomy of the car charging time? The autonomy is level 4, which is basically, which means, just like we explained, that it can drive on normal streets in public traffic, but there needs to be a human person who can take over when necessary. But this can, in most countries, not in all European countries yet, but in most countries, it can be solved with teleoperation. And the charging time in the current model is relatively slow. It's up to 6 hours. So it's really like, I would say, bottleneck for operations. We usually operate during daytime and then charge it overnight. But we have, as I said, also one hydrogen car that can be charged basically in the same pace as gasoline car. This is not yet scaled. We only have one of those. And also what we have done together with Skeleton, another Estonian startup, we have also built one car with supercapacitors, which means that the charging time can be as low as 11 seconds. So 11 seconds. But having said that, with this power, the car can only drive 30 minutes. So this is one of the ways to overcome. But yes, the normal car that we use mostly it charges basically as any other electric car rather slowly still so far, and it doesn't have if you have this direct current, it can be done faster, but in most areas direct current is not yet mainstream, so we are calculating that it can be up to 6 hours.
Okay, thank you very much, Taavi. This will be the last question from Primož. Is there a communication channel between each car and central office? How is it with the security of that channel? A good question.
That's a very good question, because we take cybersecurity very, very seriously, and we have invested time and team effort to that. So it again shows that clearly the person asking knows the industry. I can tell that yes, we have safe channels. Now we do have it with every car, but we don't always use. It depends on use cases. In some use cases, the customer wants that there is safety operator on board the car, and then we don't have this channel, let's say, that helps or enables teleoperation. We don't have it on all the time, but in principle, yes, all of our cars have this teleoperation and connection with center. And the center doesn't have to be the one that is in our office. It can be also mobile center. So for example, if we come with, let's say, a fleet of 3 cars to Slovenia, we operate in, let's say, Bled, my favorite, one of my favorite parts of Slovenia. We can have the safety center somewhere nearby also.
Okay, there you go, Primož. I think you will have your own follow-up with Taavi as well.
Please do.
Yeah, so it's 4 minutes past the hour. Let me conclude here at this point. Taavi, normally I ask my guests at the very end, you know, what do you do when you are not working? What is your life about? If I may ask you that.
That's a very good question, actually. My life is very much about my family. I have 3 kids in like from 2 to 12. So each and every one of them needs attention. But to be very honest, this half year, I have been exercising a lot. I have been exercising for Ironman. Unfortunately, just 2 days ago, the swimming part didn't go so well, so I didn't swim fast enough. So I need to continue exercising, and my next goal this year will be Malaga Marathon. So yeah, a lot of exercising is also something that keeps my head straight and then keeps me fit for job challenges as well.
Perfect. So you work to live, you don't live to work, which is very good.
I hope so, yes.
At the very end of this session, Taavi, you have plenty of different backgrounds, people here with us here in this room. There are plenty of value added also for your particular business. I'm giving you the last 15-20 seconds to you, whatever you want to address them. Please feel free to do so.
Well, I would be very honored and glad if you could contact me either in LinkedIn, which is very convenient, or my contacts will be passed to you also afterwards in an email. So please feel free to contact me, and we can discuss further if there is a chance for cooperation. I would be really appreciating that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Taavi. It was a pleasure having you over there and over here, actually. You were a very nice guest, and I wish you all the best in with Ironman, but with your business as well. Dear friends, thank you very much for being with us. Next week, I will be talking to Mr. Apostolescu from Romania. Until same time next week, I wish you just all the best. Sayonara. Bye-bye.